Welcome everyone to Ladder Daily Digest. I'm going to do a show because I've noticed recently that Maven has put out some of her new content, and I thought it'd be cool to share it with people and try to get some views. And I have to turn off my phone so it doesn't go on. So I thought I would start off by sharing. I can share my screen real quick. And so anyhow, let me see if I can present the screen, share screen, and everybody's going away now. Doing this by myself, so I don't know for sure if it'll work, but here it goes.
Moms, despite the fact that many women seeking abortions already are mothers or do want to be mothers or will become mothers someday. The fact of the matter is, or I guess this is where the hypocrisy comes in, is that pro-lifers also do not want to take accountability for their actions, namely their policies. When women die, they want to say that's not from pro-life policies, that's incompetent medical doctors, even though we're putting them in a place where the other side of performing a life-saving procedure is a felony that can lose them their license and their way to make a living. All right. And also the hospitals, not to leave admin out of it, and legal and all of this kind of stuff. It's all incompetent admin. It's incompetent hospitals. It's definitely not our policy that created this situation. Same with rape victims and incest victims being forced to give birth at very young ages, to the detriment, obviously, of their health, mental health, physical health, their fertility. All of these consequences that are happening that would not be the case if abortion access was free and unrestricted. They don't want to. That's not our fault. That's not our fault. That's the police department. That's their fault because they didn't, whatever hoops they made somebody jump through and not get to in time in order to get a 13-year-old an abortion from a rapist. That's not me. That's not us. That it is you. It is you. If you are pro-life and you have voted for pro-life policies and pro-life politicians, you are responsible for every raped child giving birth to a child. You are responsible for every uptick in domestic violence and homicides of pregnant women, which are already higher than women on average. You are responsible for the deaths of mothers in ERs or at home or whatever the case may be. You are responsible, and it's time for you to start taking accountability for that, especially since you're the one wanting us to take accountability, for our choices, which, by the way, fatal pregnancies are not a choice. Rape is not a choice. The whole choice thing is really complicated for pro-lifers, consent and all that. They really don't understand it. So yeah, take accountability, guys. You are causing these problems.
You can try it.
Okay, so there is Maven's first post on her Dear Pro-Life Dad channel. I wish I had a co-host so that we could talk about this, at least while I'm trying to figure out all the buttons to push. Welcoming some people on the show here. Thank you, Monkey. Catherine Class. Diamond Dave might come soon. But anyway, I thought I would share with people what Maven has and try to go visit her channel. I think I have the link underneath to her channel and to her videos. And so I'm going to see if I can get her second one.
Would be first-time mom who's pregnant. One of the things my pro-life dad said in one of the last conversations that I had with him, and not because he's dead, but because I cut him off. He's dead to me, I guess we'll say that, was that looking at the consequences of pregnancy, even for wanted pregnancy, is just the chance that something could go wrong and it could end a woman's life, which he very well knew, because this conversation happened within a year of an extended family member whose funeral we attended, of a 23-year-old would-be first-time mom whose pregnancy killed her. So this is not just like an out there, kind of a idea that, yeah, sometimes some women that we don't know out there can pass away because of complications of pregnancy. No, this is close to home. That my father sat through this, right? He sat through this funeral, which at least for me, was one of the most tragic ones I've ever been to, because it was the first one that wasn't for somebody at the end of their natural lives, but someone very young trying to bring a new life into the world, and just how quickly that ended in tragedy. So anyway, this thing that my dad said was that basically if women aren't willing to accept the small chance of death, which for a pregnancy, which most already are, most women do know that these things can happen, but that doesn't mean that we should be okay with increasing that risk unnecessarily, that we should be okay with the idea of jumping through hoops or going through red tape to get life-saving treatment, hopefully in time, because women don't always have that. Like the funeral of the woman that we went to, her pregnancy killed her very quickly. There was not time enough to save her, even if what had happened at a hospital. That was too quickly. But that's not the case for every woman. There's women who, and we are seeing this now, who are experiencing complications, and they do have a window of time, but when you put obstacles in the way and they have to get through that, you are killing women unnecessarily who would not be. But anyway, so here's my dad's view on that. This is, if you don't want that to happen, all right, we should be okay with abortion bans. We should be okay that the fact that there's already a risk of death anyway, so why not just increase it? And if we don't like that, just not have sex. And that's really astounding to me. Again, it's always not just pro-lifers, but especially pro-life men, when they have this argument that women, like, not wanting to be pregnant should just never have sex, because they are really missing a key component of that, which is themselves. And pro-life men are conservative men. They feel entitled to sex. They view women as sexual objects, whether it's not just the women on the street or whatever, but their own wives. Like, those are their own personal sex objects that they're entitled to. So just like knowing how traditional conservative men feel so entitled to sex, and not just entitled, but get really enraged if it's withheld from them. I mean, just look at like male comedians, how much is like with sex being withheld, like making it it's like a part of the culture, and jokes and all of these things. Anyway, and my dad especially, okay, because here's what I know about my dad, and this just blows like his hypocrisy. Oh, and this just blows his hypocrisy just completely out of the water. Okay, all right, my parents had 2 kids. All right, I was the first. They had a girl, they had a boy, and for my dad, that was good. Got one of each. We're done. We're okay. Well, my mom wanted another kid. She wanted another kid, but my dad didn't. And of course, the onus was on her for the birth control to not have the kid that my dad didn't want, that she actually did want. Anyway, my mom eventually got to this point where she said, you know what? I want another kid. I'm going off birth control. So if you don't want another kid, don't touch me. And if my dad was not a complete and utter pro-life hypocrite, as they all are, every single one of them, then he should have been like, okay, that's fine. And my dad should not have ever had sex again after the age of 30, or if not sooner. My dad should have been totally okay living a completely celibate life from that moment on. Guess how long it took us to get my youngest brother from this declaration of my mother's? Yeah, less than a fucking year. Absolutely. And that, like, to birth. Okay, so like not even just like conception within a year. Obviously my dad folded like a house of cards within a couple months. So yeah, I got my youngest brother by my dad's choice, because he chose to have sex consensually. But just wow, would you just know, like, my dad did not want kids, and he could only make it a couple months without sex, yet to have the gall, the absolute audacity to say that a woman who should not be willing to risk death, no matter how small the chances are, should just never have sex again, is just astounding. And that's why I hate my dad and I cut him out of my life and I don't want him to be a part of it. And I don't think he deserves to do it. And no dad does who thinks this way about women, because that's how they think about their daughters.